Welcome to What Did William Say with William Slace, and today I got a special treat for you. It's Robert C. Stern of The Social Leader. He's here. I'm going to ask him some direct questions, some questions that my audience and his audience would love to hear about. How to use social media, live streaming, and video content with your small business. So folks, sit tight, get comfortable. This is going to be a good one. All right. What's going on, Robert? What's going on, man?
Hey, William. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, thanks for being on the show. I've been trying to get you on my show for a long time. You finally fit me in.
I'll always make time for you.
How you doing today, man?
Doing good. It's bright and early. It's Monday morning. We're ready to start that week. Social media, here we come.
Heck yeah, it's raining and cloudy here, but you know what? It's better than those 100-degree days that we've had previously. So I'll take it.
Yeah, been hot by you.
What have you been up to?
Oh man, tons of stuff. It's like never ending.
Really?
You know, it's totally never ending in the social media world. There's change every day.
How do you keep up? How do you keep up with all the change?
It's I don't know. I guess it's in my nature. I'm constantly curious, and you know, obviously, I love to help people and do whatever I can to help people.
Right.
But you know, you got to keep up on it. I mean, it's just like any other industry if you think about it. I mean, you know, I'll relate it to, and you know, this is gonna be a weird little relation here. I'm gonna relate it to the accounting industry.
Right.
Accountant. If you're doing taxes for people, you have to be totally up to date on every law, deduction, anything that can possibly be done.
Right.
You're going to be a really good person and do that job right. Well, if you're going to do social media and train and coach and strategize with people and companies, you need to be up to date on every little thing. Now, the difference between the accounting industry and the social media industry is accounting changes here and there. Social media changes hourly.
So it seems. It's exactly how it does, and sometimes I just wish I could outsource a lot of stuff, but you're absolutely right. But for my audience and for maybe some of your audience members who haven't seen you that much before, if you would please take the time to say, you know, who you are beyond Robert C. Stern and what it is, you know, that you do, and what's your experience with business and social media, in particular small businesses.
Well, I started a company just over 5 years ago, social media agency. It's called The Social Leader. But it's funny, it's not something that I planned on doing. And I came out of school long time ago. You know, I came out of college and I actually was a headhunter for 15 years. Now I'm going to date myself a little because this is back in the late 80s, early, you know, going into the 90s. I did that for a long time. And then 9/11 hit.
Right.
And I was in New York City. So,
wow.
You know, I grew up on Long Island. I lived in the city at that time. And one of the things is that people were not hiring that much anymore because of the displacement of workers and everything that was going on. So a few months afterwards, there was a big difference, obviously, in salaries and commissions and everything else. So I switched my careers and I became a real estate agent. Now, this was right when the boom started in 2002.
Wow.
All of a sudden, I jumped into real estate. I went to my local town. I was living out of the city at this point. I was in Jersey, and it was great. You know, the office was 5 minutes from the house. You know, in Jersey, I didn't have to worry about the traffic and New York City and everything else.
It's perfect.
And I started building slowly. You know, I just moved to Jersey. I started building slowly in real estate. You have to do all the normal stuff. You know, do the open houses, try to meet people, start doing the cold calling, which isn't far off from a headhunting business.
Right.
And it's commission. So, you know, my whole life I've worked on commission. And I guess it was 2005, I was introduced to Facebook by my nephew. He was in college and it just was starting to come out to the public at that point. It was going to just the college and everything. And he sent me a link. And back then it was the situation you had to sign in to see stuff. It was kind of guarded because it was the college thing. So I was like, oh, all right, I'll check it out. It's probably a fraternity thing because he's in a fraternity. I was in a fraternity. So I checked it out. I logged in free, checked it out. Now, of course, when you log into something and you go see the person's thing, and it was the normal thing. It was what I thought. It was red Solo cups, ping pong balls. I'll let everybody's imagination go to there.
Yeah, college
it was college. But once you're in it and you saw the thing you wanted to see, well, now you're inside and you're like, well, what is this?
What else is there here?
So I start going around and I check it out. And I was like, and back then it was called the Facebook.
Right.
And I turned it around and I saw that little link, find friends, find people. And I was like, oh, I wonder if there's anybody I know on here. It's a college thing, but I wonder. And you were able to look people up through high school or colleges. And the next thing I knew, I found 40 to 50 people that I graduated with high school.
Amazing. Amazing.
And I haven't spoken to them since. I graduated high school in 84. So it was like it was just 20 years, 21 years, 22 years or something. Right. And so I went into it and I started friending people and saying hi. And what happened was, like, if you and I went to high school, it's like, hey, William, how you doing? Great to connect with you. And it's like meeting somebody in the street for the first time you haven't seen in 20 years.
Right, right.
Oh, my God, how are you? What's going on in your life? Oh, you're married. You got kids. That's great. Where are you living? What do you do for work? Now, remember, I was a realtor.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, a few of them said, oh, man, I wish I knew, but you're actually in Jersey, so that doesn't help me because we're actually looking for a house. We're moving from Connecticut to Wisconsin, to Green Bay. And I was like, but I can help you. Light bulb started flying out of my head going, oh, my God, this could be used for business because I can connect with people.
Yes.
And even if it's not in my neighborhood, because as a realtor, you can refer to other agents and collect a referral fee.
Yeah.
So I started writing down, okay, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And I started friending tons of people. Back then, they didn't have the Facebook police, so you could like friend.
I remember.
So my idea with this was I actually friended, besides people I grew up with and knew from the past and stuff, I actually friended real estate agents that were not in New Jersey. Because New Jersey I'm competing with.
Right. Right.
But everybody outside of New Jersey could refer to me. Now, remember, I'm 20 miles outside New York City. So once in a blue moon, everybody knows somebody who might be moving or knows somebody in the New York area that might be looking in Jersey side. So I built that up. I think it took 3 months, and I started having fun on my profile, just engaging and interacting. I do Robert's question of the day. And it was kind of like, what's your favorite thing you put on pizza? And everybody starts commenting, and I'm getting 50, 60 comments because it's stupid stuff, but it's engaging. Yeah. Well, what that did was it put me in front of everybody every single day, 365 days a year.
How do you come up with all those? Because I remember recently the one on Facebook about the cassettes, and I had to chime in on that one because when Prince passed, I just I found some cassettes of his, some old cassettes. So I was like, oh, well, yeah, I got cassettes.
No, nothing to play it on, but
well, it broke. I did have something, but it broke, unfortunately. So I'm like, geez.
Got to go to that antique store and buy a Walkman.
Yeah, the flea market or something. Well,
I just look at everything that's going on in general. Something from a movie, something from a magazine, anything like that. Nostalgia stuff is huge.
Right.
I mean, if you're in a crowd in a certain generation and you throw something back from when growing up with that generation, you're gonna get chimes. We had a thing called Dairy Barn where I was growing up on Long Island, and it looked like a barn, and it was a drive-through, and it was open 24 hours. You can get milk, you can get eggs, ice cream, cake, looked like butter, cream cheese, the necessity things.
Like a 7-Eleven maybe.
But it was a drive-through. It literally had a thing on both sides. You could drive around. He opens up the sliding door. What do you need? Eggs, milk, blah, blah, blah. $17.75, pay for it, through the window, boom, out. You never left your car, nothing. It was this, and it's still there. And it's around forever. And I was back in Comac where I grew up visiting. I took a picture of it. I put it up. Oh my God. Because everybody I grew up with doesn't live there anymore. And they're all like, oh my God, I remember Dairy Barn. Those midnight runs for Haagen-Dazs ice cream. And it just creates engagement.
Right.
So I started doing all that stuff. I was a realtor till 2010. And the only reason I gave up being a realtor is because I built up a really, really strong real estate business on social media. I mean, referrals, clients were finding me, people selling houses would talk to me because of fan page, and it was called a fan page back then, not a business page. And just constantly putting stuff out, whether it's articles about mortgage, articles about things going on. I used to do interviews, little video clip interviews of a mortgage broker, of this, of that, just putting out all this information. It's give. And I built up a solid business. Now, the people in the office would turn to me at some point down the line, because all of a sudden they were like, whoa, what's going on here? Because they're the ones who told me stay away from it.
Right.
Because it was a fad. Don't do it. Do the normal stuff. About a year afterwards, they came back to me. Could you help us learn how to use Facebook or Twitter? Or like, all of a sudden they turn into like, I need to know about this. It showed in their head there's something there.
Right.
I started training some people. The classes started really building up. I was doing it for free. It got to a point where it was too much time in my head. So I turned around and said, guys, I have no choice. I have to start charging. And I did. I started charging per agent, per class. And all of a sudden, it was like selling a house a month. That's how much I was making.
Right. Right.
So I was like, there's something here. There's a need.
Okay.
So I decided to give up the real estate, selling and buying. I put my license in referral. And at this point, I just let it go completely. And I opened up the company, The Social Leader, and I was hitting the real estate community hard. And then other companies were turning to me, local stuff, a restaurant or a shop or an accountant, a doctor, this, saying, you're teaching all this stuff. Could it be done for us too? I'm like, of course it can.
Do you think that someone who would want to do exactly that, show people how to use social media, show people how to use live streaming for their business, do you think that that area is saturated, or is there still opportunity?
You know something? Every area is saturated.
Okay.
How many doctors do you know? How many lawyers do you know? How many realtors do you know? How many life coaches do you know? Transformational experts, social media, everything is out there, is being done because they have a passion. They want to do it. I mean, how many MLM people do you know of the same MLM?
Right.
Like Dan Fields, or when Amway was big, everybody was doing it.
Yeah. No, what I mean was the opportunity for a person to show them or teach them like what you taught the real estate agents. Because I know, like, for instance, when we got on here, I haven't done Google Hangouts in so long, I was somewhat iffy, and you actually had to tell me how to use that plus thingy because I was sending you the wrong link. Now, let's just say all those professions that you mentioned, do you still think that there's a need or an opportunity for someone to go on there and teach them or show them?
There is such a need for social media training, coaching, strategies.
Okay.
People are turning to social media for business. They now see and know in their mind they have to be on social media.
Right.
It's not should I. You need to be on social media somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, because there was a stat out recently. 70% of all consumers of every single industry, doesn't matter what industry, 70% of those consumers in your particular industry are on some form of social media. So think about this. If you don't use social media and your competitor is using social media, you're only going after 30% of the people.
Right.
Is that business?
Nope.
How could you leave 70% of your consumer possibilities on the table saying, no, 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 it's too much work. I don't want to do it. It's not worth it. If you're thinking that way, companies are going to blow by you in no time. You're not going to have enough business.
Exactly.
Because you need to. Why are the major corporations, the major car companies, Home Depot, Macy's, Nordstrom, any major 500 company using social media? Why are they doing it? Why are they spending 30, 35, 40% of their marketing budgets on digital and social media if it's not working?
Right. Awesome. Hey, I'm sorry moving this along because we only got 14 minutes left, and I want to get all these questions in to you. Okay.
That's all right. We go a couple minutes over. It's okay.
All right. Hey, compared to 6 years ago, is it easier or more difficult for small businesses and solopreneurs to create video content? And the reason I ask you that is about 6 or 7 years ago, I was trying to do live video thing. And I tell you, the amount of money that I had to invest to actually do it was just phenomenal. Now it's kind of like you got your iPhone, but even though it's been simplified in terms of technology and hardware, do you think it's easier or more difficult for small businesses and solopreneurs to create video content?
Well, compared to 6 years ago, it is so much easier. And I'll give you one reason why.
iPhone.
It's not the iPhone, Android too. It's just the mobile situation of being able to turn around and do a video. The quality on the iPhones, the quality on the Androids, all of the phones, it doesn't matter. The quality of doing a video or pictures, doesn't matter, is so much better that you can do, and then you can edit it if you want, depending on an editing software, or not edit it and put it up raw. It doesn't matter, because something up is better than nothing.
Yes. Get past the perfection thingy.
But it's true. I mean, 6 years ago, you had to use your laptop, you had to get the video camera, download it, then edit it, and it was so much work. And it wasn't that it wasn't worth it. It was harder. But because of the technology we have now, I mean, I could go out, shoot a video, I can edit it on iMovie on my phone, and then I can upload it right to YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, anywhere I want to go.
Yep, absolutely. I love that. I love that ability. I just wish my
You know what the problem is? It's not the technology that's making it harder. Understanding it, obviously. It's the mindset. Oh, I don't have time for it. It's true.
You're right. You're right. But I got time.
If you don't have time for it, go hire somebody to do it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely. Hey, how many social media platforms do you think solopreneur or a business owner, in particular a small business owner, should be on at one time? Because, and one of the reasons why I ask you this is I have what they call the shiny object syndrome, and all of these pop up, and it's like, do I go there and do something beyond just claiming my name, or should I be worried about maybe leaving, which you mentioned before, the 70% on the table, or should I stick to a few? What do you think?
Listen, when I sit down and do my I have on my website a sign up for a 20-minute consult and stuff like that. And a lot of times this comes up. Should I be on everything? Snapchat, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube. We can go on and on. There's so many. And the more you're on, yes, the more time it is going to take if you're doing it yourself. Because you can't just take the same post and put it on every single platform, because there's no need for people to follow you on different platforms if you're putting out the same content on every platform. But I tell people, especially, listen, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small businesses, their time is worth everything. If you have the time to be on many social media platforms, then do it. But before you do that, is your target on that platform? So if you're selling something to seniors, I'm going to use this as a weird example, something for the senior community, does it really pay to be on Snapchat at this time and age?
Probably not.
See, you have to go where your demographic marketing niche is. If you don't go where your targeted market is, why are you wasting your time? So you need to know what the markets are of the different platforms. Now, each platform is different. Some are mainly women. There's a few that are mainly men. There's different age groups. Now, obviously, Facebook, that's a different story because, it's everybody.
Yes, and that's what's amazing about Facebook, I think.
It started with the kids, went to the adults, went to the grandparents. It's everybody is involved with Facebook right now. So it's a target market. So, that's one of the things. You only go on the platforms that matter to your business. You can go on another platform for yourself if you like. It's fun, like a Snapchat or something else. But if it's not geared to your business, why are you wasting your time?
So
how much is your time worth?
Right. So say I narrowed it down. So say I was able to say, okay, there are 5 to 7 platforms. And this might not be the case because if you get really, really deep in terms of social, economic, gender, all this other stuff.
Well, the demographics.
Yeah, demographics. You might not be able to get this many, but let's just say there are 7 that I know I can absolutely people are on, and it's just a one-man show, what would you suggest? What's the number that you would suggest?
2 or 3 platforms to start. Master them, get those down into a routine. Okay. Maybe get into a situation where you're in a schedule, use a content calendar, that type of situation so that you're scheduling ahead on certain things so that and once you cut that time element out because you're in your pattern of what you need to do, if you want to add another one, then you add another one.
Right.
But if something new does come out, it starts to build some momentum, I will go on it. I mean, I have to go on it and check it out and see what it is because that's the nature of my business, to know what it is. But at the same time, I would suggest go on and just save your name, like you said. Because if you choose to go on it and then all of a sudden your name's not there, oh, that's another whole story now. Because you want it to be consistent across the board.
Right.
William Slice Jr. on Facebook. It's William Slice Jr. on this one. It's William Slice. Oh, wait, can't get that one. Now it's like, oh.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think the biggest roadblocks and pitfalls are for small businesses and solopreneurs in using social media? What are the things that cause them to hesitate, that cause anxiety for them, or just stop them cold in their tracks?
Themselves.
What do you mean?
They are literally blocking themselves. There is nothing you can't learn. There is nothing. Listen, if you're a solopreneur, I am sure, or small business, when you started out, you had the negative Nellies. I'm sorry if anybody's listening that's name is Nelly. It's just in the house. But you had the negative Nellies that were telling you, oh, don't go on business on yourself. It's not secure. You need a stable situation. We've all heard it when we try to do something new.
What? What do you do?
What? You're working for an MLM? Oh, no, you're going to waste your money. It's not going to do anything. Blah, blah, blah. Get those. You got to get it out of here. Same thing happens with social media.
All right.
Social media, people, they get in front of themselves and they kind of stop themselves. It's not the people outside that are telling you negativity. Now it's your own brain that's telling you, oh God, putting up a video, I got to edit a video and I got to figure out YouTube and what's a playlist and what's a show card and all these different things. Oh my God, I got to edit it. I got to put an intro. I got to put an exit. It's too much. And what do? Nothing. And the thing is, you don't necessarily have to do all that stuff. It would be great if you can, but guess what? You start small. You start small. And the biggest fear I find most people, not fear. Well, it is a fear. I'm sorry. It is a fear. I'm going to contradict myself. I do this all the time. I talk to myself and then I yell at myself.
Oh, I do.
The biggest thing they have is they're afraid to ask for help. I can do it.
Why do you think that is?
I don't need help. I don't need help. I'm not paying anybody. I don't need help.
Right.
Or they get a friend. I had this the other day where somebody told me, no, I don't need to get involved with the coaching or anything. I got a friend helping me with the social media. And I went, oh my God, that's great. I go, what do they do for a living? Oh, they're a doctor. I went, oh, that's great. I go, is he on social media? He goes, he's just on it personally, but he's helping me for the business. Okay, if he's only on it personally, how does he know how to do it, first of all, for business? And secondly, he has no idea what your business is like.
Right.
So it's everybody gets in front of themselves. They're afraid to ask for help. They're stopping themselves, and you need to invest in yourself. And if I understand one-on-one coaching and strategy work and stuff like that, it can get expensive. So then take those nights, instead of watching America's Got Talent, instead of watching, well, I'm not gonna say Games of Thrones because that's a big one.
Yeah,
Instead
you can't do that. That's all I watched.
I notice how I went, okay, stop with, watch the Games of Thrones. But all these other things that we do at night, reading a book that's got nothing to do about business, it's that, and you got to have a little downtime, and I understand that. Go on YouTube, go on Facebook, and start doing some searches to learn.
Right.
And that's a different thing that I'm going to say, because we were talking about it just in the green room for a couple of minutes. You had brought up, I told you I was going to bring this up. You had brought up to me about people with Blab. We were talking about Blab because Blab is no longer around. It got pulled on the plug on Friday.
Right.
And it was an amazing program to me. But what Blab gave was, a lot of people came on and gave out their information. Well, the problem is when you start listening to too many people, you don't know what to do. Yes. Because, I was on Robert's Blab, and I was on this guy's Blab, and then I was on her Blab, and then I was on her Blab. All right, so she's saying to do this, and he's saying you should do this, and he's saying you should do this, and he's saying, wait, you could do it this way instead. Oh, God, my brain's going to explode. So the problem with social media and the internet overall with consumers and business owners, it's both sides, information overload.
I agree.
You got to find somebody that you respect. You got to find somebody that you believe in, and follow one or two people. When you start following 8, 9, 10 people, nothing's ever going to get done, because you're spending more time following them and listening than you are actually doing.
Absolutely. How do you feel about free traffic versus paid traffic? And
you need both. I think
it might be coming in your speaker. You might want to turn me down just a little bit. I think it might be just a little bit.
All right.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. All right. It's good now. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome.
The difference between free and paid. Yeah. You need to do both.
Okay.
I mean, free is easy. Just post. Don't forget to engage with people, but post. But paid is where things are going, and people are just like, oh God, now Facebook's making me pay, and Twitter's making me pay, and Instagram's making me pay, and Pinterest is going to make me pay, and so everybody's saying I'm going to pay all this stuff, but you got to understand something. How many people are paying for advertising anyway?
Right.
They're paying for the direct mail campaigns. They're paying for, yes, this word is still around, newspapers. They're paying for magazines. They're paying for all this stuff, the coupon books that come out once a month, value things like that.
Right.
Cut one of those out, because in all honesty, for me to get out to 3,000 or 4,000 people for a day, just like a coupon book does, it could cost me $20, $30.
That's amazing. Whereas
you do it in a coupon book, or you do it on one of these other things, to go out 1 month in a newspaper or magazine, it might cost you $400 or $700, depending on the ad or whatever you're doing. You can actually cut your marketing expense down by using social media more than the traditional.
Oh, okay. You're right. Absolutely right.
All right, what you got all excited and wrote something down real quick.
Yeah. I'll come back to that. Well, I guess I better ask it now, because it kind of ties into that. I don't know if you've seen it, but recently, I read an article somewhere that Facebook may be putting ads into our live streaming on Facebook Lives. If they do that, do you think they're going to give us an option the way YouTube does? And if we choose to opt out of the ads, will they not give us the what appears to be preferential treatment for Facebook Lives the way they have been? That was a couple questions in one.
It's a great question. Believe it or not, it's really, really great question. I'm sure it's out there on blogs and everything else, people's opinions, because nobody knows what. See, that's the problem with Facebook. Nobody knows what Mark Zuckerberg is really going to do.
Right.
Mark is an enigma. And for those of you who don't know Mark, he's the one who invented Facebook and still owns most of it. He's an enigma. You never know. He's into live streaming like crazy. He sees the advantage. It's video, it's live, it's the whole bit. I totally understand where they want to go and put ads on it. Hey, Facebook's a corporation. They got to make money. They're a public corporation now. They got, everybody goes out and sells their stock. They're screwed. So, they have to answer to people too. They have to sell ads. That's what it is. It's becoming a media company, and then you sell ads on media companies. In my opinion, I can only give you my opinion because nobody knows what they're going to do. They will do an advertising system for it. I think it's going to be little banners that pop up here and there. Mm-hmm. There was talk, I don't know if they're going to do it or not, where they would put like an advertisement like in the middle of it, like it would stop broadcast and then it would start again, but it wouldn't hide anything. It would just restart the broadcast. They do a little ad in the middle type of thing, like a commercial. Right. I've heard that they may put it up on the beginning or put it towards the end and all these different things. Are they going to have an opt-in and opt-out? I don't think Facebook is. I think you want to be part of listen, you want to be part of Facebook, you have to live up to Facebook's rules.
It's exactly what they did with Messenger on our phones.
Sorry guys, you want to use the messaging service? You have to download the app. We are no longer doing it. And look at the backlash they had on it when that first came. Right. A few years ago. They said, nope, you have to have a different app for it. And everybody went, I'm not going to do it. Hello? There's over 1 million people using Messenger. I'm sorry, 1 billion people using Messenger. Yeah, it really, really hurt them.
Right.
So, in my honest opinion, there will be ads in the future. It could be soon.
Okay.
They need to start adding money to it. But I'll tell you this, it's going to be on their terms. It's not going to be because YouTube gives it in and out. It's not going to be this. You want to use their stuff? These are our terms of service.
Okay. Something to look forward to. Something to watch out for, folks. If you're using Facebook Live, and I don't know, if you're going to use a platform, you got to play by the rules. All right. When we were on Blab, I know in the beginning of Blab, a lot of it was their intention was for us to hang out with friends and stuff, and that's fine and dandy. But also, people like me saw it as a great way to share content, to get the word out there and form relationships, and eventually do what a lot of people saw as a bad thing, get compensated or maybe do some kind of exchange for the content that otherwise people would have possibly spent hours and hours and hours finding. Right. What was the question? Oh yeah, so there were a lot of people who kept saying things like share, give. And the moment you mentioned, selling something or asking someone to buy something based on the value that you've given them so far, there were a lot of detractors. There were people who would look down on you. And I think a lot of it had to do with either insecurity that you may have been positioning yourself as maybe more of an expert than them, or the fact that they didn't know how to get the nerves up to do what you just did, which is basically ask someone to buy something from you. So based on having said that long, I guess, speech, my question is, when is it time to ask for the sale, and how do you ask for it? And you did a Facebook Live recently in reference to selling, so I'm sure you could be able to tie that in.
That Facebook Live, it's on my profile page. It's public. It's called When Not Selling is Selling.
Right.
That was the title of that one. That is like the ultimate question, because we're all in business and we're all trying to sell products, services, and all this stuff. That's what we're here to do. We have businesses. And it's an age-old question. Do you go for the kill right away? The Grant Cardone 10 times way, bam, 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 sign here? Or do you nurture? And you want to know something? It's different for each one of us. Some people have no problem, no emotions, nothing. They can turn around and say, da 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 da. When do you want to do it? When do you want to do it? When they can move to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And they have, it's a numbers game to them.
Right.
Other people, it's not a numbers game. It's cultivating. I'm more about building relationships, but it's also about what your product and service is. You know, if you're in retail, you need sales daily. You know, that's the way it is. So your way of doing things, you know, retail, it's not more of asking for business, it's promoting your stuff. It's advertising more. Whereas service industry, my industry, photography industry, you know, those are cultivating things because they need to get to know you. And there's three things they need to learn about you. One, they got to see your knowledge. How many people, you know, a product is easy to show. You know, we all grew up with infomercials. It slices, it dices, it this, it this, it this, it even cuts a can after a tomato. You know, all those types of things, and we buy it. Great price, boy, it's a product. When you're dealing in the service industry and you're helping people, it's a different situation. People don't go on TV and say what we're doing here and go, I got to work with him. I'm calling him right now. That's not how life works.
Right.
So what I'm saying is more build the relationship, but I know what you're saying is when is the time in the head to trigger it and go for the sale? Personally, I don't do it on live streams. I don't do that. I'll say, you know, hey, go check out my stuff. There's a free download. There's this, there's that. And then I might afterwards message them and start to build one-on-one communication.
Right.
Because now it's just William and I hey, we were on the phone last week. I'm not going to give that type of advice openly in public, or I'm not going to talk about products and services of what you can get involved in open in public. I'm going to do that with you personally. You know, when I'm speaking at a seminar, I go up, I speak, I do my thing, blah, blah, blah. And I always go for the whole event. I don't just like come and go and just do my part and leave. So I want to learn from others. I want to meet people. People want to say hi. They want to ask questions. And afterwards, they always ask me questions. And I always get one person minimum saying, you know, well, you know, what would it cost, or what's it like working with you? And I go, you know something, we're at the convention right now. Give me your name and number. And why don't we talk about that more in private? Because it's going to be different for each person.
Right. Absolutely.
So now you're building up a closer relationship. And when you're one-on-one in that type of situation, as a realtor, as a company or accountant or things like that, it's easier to get the feeling of when to say, so you interested in doing this? I mean, I wouldn't phrase it that way. You never phrase questions in yeses or nos, but listen, I have times on Monday to do my coaching. You know, which would be better for you? Would 2 in the afternoon be better, or 7 o'clock at night? You know, and now they're kind of like,
I got to make it.
at that moment, you're going to know, are they coming on board with you or not?
Right. Right.
And you're not hurting the relationship. They can say, well, I'm not sure yet. And I say, okay, well, what's holding you back?
Absolutely.
So but it's one-on-one. It's not on the masses. And Blab did do that. Blab did have people. Live streaming in general has people. You need to order this now. Blah, blah, blah. It's like your own TV home shopping network.
And it doesn't, you know, I tried that approach and it just doesn't feel right. You know, I wouldn't mind. And this Terry Levine, I saw her mention this. I feel so much more comfortable saying, if you know, want to work with me more, or go get this download or whatever, if you're interested or whatever, it's free, versus, you know, we have 10 spots, buy now because time's running out, blah, 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 blah. That just didn't feel right to me. And I worked myself up to get to the point to where I could say that, but it just didn't. I mean, just thinking about it now gives me a weird feeling in my chest and stomach. Might be the coffee though, but it just didn't feel right. So it's refreshing to hear you say that. And it sounds like it depends on the person, the product, and also the industry. All those things you have to take in consideration. So
Oh, definitely, definitely. There's a lot of. I mean, that's part of sitting down and having a social media strategy.
Okay.
Don't just hit social media going. You need to have things going and written down and knowing what you're doing.
Great. All right. That is basically the end. I want to ask you I want to ask you this, and if there's anything that you want to add upon or elaborate upon, especially some of the things we talked about before we started broadcasting, that'd be great. But could you please tell the audience what you have in the works? You know, what services you have, because I've seen you on Facebook Live several times, and I know you help people in so many different industries, real estate, hospitality, I'm sure accounting,
MLM, survey, it
yeah,
doesn't matter. I work with all the different industries, but right now, personally, I have started because I feel there's a need for the small business area. Um, they necessarily can't, and I hate using the words can't afford, but listen, investing in your time and your coach and your strategy of someone helping you, it's not cheap. We
right.
all know that. And not everybody possibly has it or is ready for something big like that, a one-on-one coaching where there's accountability and all this stuff. So I decided a few weeks ago, in fact, I'm doing a live stream on it today in a little bit, answering questions and everything else, that I opened up 5 different subscription groups. They're $10 a month. Yes, I only said $10 a month. I'm keeping it low purposely because I want to help as many as possible. And then broken down by industries, there's a real estate industry, there's an MLM network marketing industry one, there is the restaurants and hospitality, there is nonprofit, and then there's one called business, small business and services. So if it don't fit the other 4, it would fall into the other. And literally, I'm live streaming into those groups, specifically alone to those groups, to talk about what is needed to be done. I'm posting stuff. I'm putting files in there, like content calendars, strategy points. We're talking marketing, how do you, and all the platforms are covered. It's not just Facebook. We go over Snapchat. We go over LinkedIn. We go over Twitter. We go over everything. So that's kind of my focus right now, besides all my one-on-one coaching I do. And I do speaking events, obviously. So if anybody's ever looking for a social media speaker, I'm around. But the best way to get a hold of me, literally, is Facebook. I mean, it's like my #1 area. It's more than my website. I mean, my website's great. It's thesocialleader.us, but Facebook, The Social Leader, is the #1 place to find me.
Okay. So those who are listening on the podcast, it's Robert C. Stern, or The Social Leader on Facebook. The best way to get a hold of him. That correct, Robert?
Correct.
Okay. And like you said, he has groups, 5 groups that you've started.
5 different groups, and each group will specifically be about that industry in social media. So in other words, if you're a realtor, mortgage, home inspector, title company, I have a group just for real estate. So when I use the terminology, you all understand it. I have a group specifically for multi-level marketing and network marketing. So when I use that industry's, I could do one group and say everybody join. But when I'm talking to a realtor on that group and I'm talking about mortgage and FHA and all this stuff that's involved, the guy who's a photographer sitting there going, what does that got to do with me?
Right.
So that's why I broke them down into smaller groups. It's a little more work for me because it's 5 different groups, but that's okay because you're getting more straightforward work on it. You're understanding it better.
Awesome. Awesome. Sounds great. $10 a month. That's less than if you smoke 2 packs of cigarettes.
2 Starbucks coffees a day.
2 Starbucks coffees a day. That's
Think of it, 2 Starbucks coffees a day, investing in your time. I also said this to somebody else the other day because they were like hesitant. I said, let me ask you a question. I go, first of all, remember when you join, it's $10 a month. You can join for 2 months and leave. It's okay. I don't have these strict things. You got to be there for 6 months or 9 months. I even do that on the one-on-one coaching. I don't have long-term contract, 3 months, 6 months. It's month to month all the time with me. But I said this to a person the other day. I said, listen, after 1 month, they're in an MLM. If you're not making that $10 back, we really need to talk. It's $10.
Awesome deal. Well, Robert, I really appreciate you coming on my show. I know you got something lined up, another live event that's about to occur on Facebook. Everybody, check Robert out on Facebook. You can catch me, What the Williams Say, on iTunes and Google Play, and everybody who's listening now and also on the replay. Thanks for listening. Make sure you leave your comments and everything, and I'll see you on the next episode.